The scientist accused of suppressing information about global warming has been largely cleared by MPs. Last year there was a row after thousands of emails from climate change researchers were hacked and appeared to show scientists were hiding and manipulating information. Nigel Lawson was an energy minister in Mrs Thatcher's government, and he's a climate change sceptic. Mr Lawson, does this draw a line under this row now?
No, it doesn't draw a line under it at all. First of all, there is going to be a fuller inquiry which was set up under Sir Muir Russell by the University of East Anglia, and that is only just about to get going. But also, this is a question not of whether you believe that there's likely to be global warming or not, but whether the scientists at the Climatic Research Unit at the university, who are right at the heart of all this, behave reprehensibly. And in fact, curious enough, the verdict of the report, you need to look at all the evidence as well, but the verdict is that they did behave reprehensibly, but this is defended as normal scientific practice, which, if it is, it shouldn't be. And indeed, in some parts they say that scientific practice should change.
And the MPs themselves who drew up this report, they say they are convinced that global warming is caused by humans.
Yeah, that wasn't the issue, though. The issue, and there were only 5 of them who considered the report, and they weren't unanimous. But in any event, that was not the issue. This was not an inquiry into that. They made it quite clear. The inquiry was whether the scientists there had behaved improperly. And I think they found that they had. They had concealed their data, they had concealed their methods, and this was held by the committee to be reprehensible, but they say this is normal scientific practice, but scientific practice ought to change. They say that they broke the law was broken in handling a Freedom of Information Act requests, but that was the responsibility of the university itself, the university authorities, not the responsibility of these particular scientists. And the final thing, which is actually the most important, is there was a big question as to whether the very slight warming, and my goodness, isn't the warming today intolerable, but there was a very slight warming that was recorded in the last quarter of the 20th century, whether that was unusual. And to do that, they had a whole series of temperatures which they constructed from tree rings artificially, because 1,000 years ago there weren't any thermometers measuring global temperatures. And then they found that when they compared for the later years, where there were thermometer readings, how the tree ring evidence, so-called tree ring evidence, compared, it was quite different. So they decided in the email traffic that that should be concealed. And again, the committee found that that was normal scientific practice. Well, if it is, it shouldn't be.
All of this leaves a very confused and bewildered public, people who want to be led, people who want the truth, they want to understand. What needs now to happen to clear this matter up in the eyes of the public?
Well, I think there are 2 things that need to be cleared up. There is, first of all, the further inquiry, which I mentioned earlier, which is going to happen, and I hope that will shed more light on the subject and also lead to scientists having higher standards. Professor Lovelock, who is the grand old man of climate alarmism, he was warning about an ice age coming in the 70s. He's now warning about extreme warming. But he is a man of total integrity, and he has said that this is not how scientists should behave. And I think we've got to get better practice among scientists. The other thing, which is very important, is if there is going to be any warming, and we don't know, scientists don't know, they pretend they know what the temperature is going to be in 50 years or 100 years' time, but of course they don't. But we need to be prepared. The question is, what should we do about it? And the policies, we need to have a very beady eye on the policies the governments are putting in place and telling us we must pursue. The reason why there's an increase in fuel poverty, for example, is the policies that are put in place, the fact that we have to pay a surcharge, everybody, including the poorest, on our electricity bills in order to subsidise these ridiculous wind turbines. All these sorts of things need to be properly examined, and that's why I set up my Global Warming Policy Foundation, because these policies are extremely expensive and could do great damage. So it's not just a question of is there going to be any warming. There's a question of if there is, how bad is it, and in any event, what is a sensible thing to do about it.
On another subject, Lord Lawson, you mentioned there the professor being the grand old man. You could be the grand old man of chancellors, and I was just wondering if you watched the Chancellor's debate on Monday night, and if so, how you think George Osborne fared and if he's the man for the job.
I didn't watch the debate, I'm afraid, and so I can't make any comment on that. But I think George Osborne is a highly intelligent and thoughtful man who will really get stuck into the job if the Conservatives are elected.
Lord Lawson, thank you very much indeed. Nice talking to you this morning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.